Don't start registering any business, either your business or you're doing it for a client or any NGO without watching this video. Now, after registering over 500 businesses in the year 2024, and after I've solved countless queries for different people that come into my DM, and after I've trained over 60 students on how to successfully carry out CAC registration as agents, I've been able to find out quite a number of mistakes and errors that a lot of you guys are making while doing CAC registrations. And then what I've done in this video is to compile these errors in a kind of a question and answer format for you so that you get to go through these question and answers and get everything well understood before you go ahead to do your registration. I bet you that this video is one that you will need. And also, if you have been doing CAC registration for a while, you will also need this video because this is more like helping you to get experiences with some of the things that you might never have come across while you're doing CAC registration for people. So this is more like you getting free resources to help you boost your experience as a CAC agent. So before I go ahead to start answering some of these questions that I've compiled, there's something important that I've decided to do, especially as we go towards 2025. Now, I am opening up a closed group for business owners like you who either you have done this registration for yourself or for businesses before, or you are just a business person. Now, I'm going to be opening a WhatsApp group for you guys so that you can join that group and get updates from me. Now, this update is going to be cutting across quite a number of things from CAC registration issues. For example, some of you guys don't know what to do about annual filing, doing your tax, and some of these things. And then I'm also going to be showing you guys so many other things that are not even CAC registration related, but are purely business related, both trying to use digital marketing, to help your business do better, how to do business, smart things that you need to know about businesses and how to grow your business, and just quite a number of things that even me myself cannot begin to tell you in this video. So if you're interested in joining that WhatsApp group, I'm going to leave the link to that group in the video description, and then you can go ahead and join us. So all you need to do is just to get into the group and let us know that you are in the group. And I'm compiling quite a number of amazing things for you guys that you will really love. And another reason why I'm creating that group is because there are some updates that I might not really have all the strength to start recording videos for on YouTube. So instead of just letting it slide, I can just go to the group and drop them for you guys to know. It is not every information that I really can start doing videos on. And there are also some apps that even YouTube itself may not even allow us to share, for you guys. So I think that group is long overdue. For those of you guys that have been asking me to get something like this for you guys, now it's here. So you can just click the link and join the group, and I'll be waiting for you guys over there. And finally, of course, I do CAC registration for people. So if you don't want to go through the stress of doing CAC registration, or you have a query that you cannot solve and you have tried all your best, you have watched my videos, you still cannot solve it, you can also reach out to me. And of course, I have a masterclass where I teach people how to do CAC registration as agents. So if any of this sounds like something that you would love to do, of course, you can let me know by calling the number or chatting the number in the video description. And then, of course, I'll be willing to help. So without wasting any further time, let's get ahead to this video and let me share with you some very important questions and answers that you will need to know if you want to register your business, or you already have a business registered with CAC, or you want to be using CAC registration to do business as a CAC registration agent. Let's get over to it. Okay, so the question is, which one should you register? Is it a business name or a company? Now, like I used to say, the basic difference between a business name and a company is more about the legal standing. For example, if you just want to secure your business name so that nobody gets to use it, and you want to have at least a presence with the CAC to show that, okay, I'm in business and I don't want anyone to use this business name, then you can go ahead and do business name registration. But if you're the type that really want to do a proper business registration and you want your business to have a very solid legal backing, then a company is for you. So for me, I will always ask everybody to register a company. But of course, if you know that you want to take things easy, you can go ahead and register a business name. After all, you can always upgrade your business name to a company later on. Now, I'll not be going into the nitty-gritty of the legal things that has to do with a company. But of course, one of the things I quickly tell people is that when you have a company, your company is a different entity from you as an individual. So, for example, let's assume that somebody is running a company and that company is filing for bankruptcy, for example. By law, your company's asset and liabilities is different from your own asset as a person. Okay, so that's one basic thing about running a company. And of course, you also know that if you are the type that you maybe you want to apply for grants, you want to apply for contracts and stuff like that, business name might not be able to really help you do some of those things. Okay, so you might have to just go for a company. And finally, there are some kinds of businesses, and this is very important. There are some kind of businesses that CAC will not allow you to do a business name registration for. The problem here is that if you are used to the CAC registration, setup, CAC hardly make refunds to people when you make some irreparable mistakes. So, for example, if you're trying to register, let's say, a school or an educational consultant business, you should know by now that you are not allowed to register such a business under business name. It has to be a company. But what happens if you mistakenly, register the business as a business name instead of a company and CC queries it? The problem is that that money and that registration is gone. You have to start all over again. So that's one of the important reasons why you need to really be sure that the kind of business you are trying to register is allowed as a business name. If not, you will lose that registration, you will lose your money, and if you don't even know what you're doing, that particular name, you might not be able to register it again. So you want to make sure you do your background check. And then we have some other ones that also you have to register them as a company. If I start listing them, this video is going to be too long. So you just want to be sure that you do that background check before you go ahead to register a business name and be sure. Okay, truth be told, there are quite a number of mistakes and errors that people make while doing CC registrations. Well, a couple of those mistakes can be rectified if you either know what you're doing or you ask somebody who has experience in CSC registration to help you fix them. But there are some mistakes that are very fatal. And what I mean by being fatal is that you might not be able to resolve them if you make such mistake. The most popular of them is for people to use the wrong commencement date for their business. Now, let's assume that you want to register a business, let's say on 15th December 2024, for example. And then while you're filling your form on the CAC registration platform, you decided that, okay, this business actually started 1st January 2022. But then you have not registered that business until now, December 15, 2024. What are you supposed to do in that case when you are supposed to fill in your commencement date? You are supposed to use today's date, because if you tell CAC that you started that business in 2023, what you're saying is that you actually go against the law, because normally by law you are not supposed to start a business if you have not registered that business. Okay, so if you tell CAC that I started this business January 1st 2020, for example, CAC is going to charge you what we call a late commencement penalty fee, which is that you're going to be paying 150 naira per day for every day that you did not register that business. So if you calculate from, let's say, 1st January 2020 to 15th December 2024, let's assume that there are 200 days in between those days. That means you're going to be paying 150 naira times 200. Now, you know that's a lot of money, except you know exactly what you're doing. What you want to do is that when you're filling in your commencement day, you want to use today, the very day that you're doing that registration. Now, this particular error cannot be fixed. Once CAC queries you for this particular error, you cannot change it. So what most people do when they do those calculations and they notice that the amount is just crazy and it's too much, many of them have to abandon that registration and start all over again. You don't want to fall into that catch from CAC, so make sure you use the very date that you're doing that registration, except you know what you're doing and you have reasons why you want to use the original date. If not, you want to use today's date. And then another error that people make that also almost does not have a solution is for people to register another person's business on their own platform. So let's assume, for example, that I open an account with the CAC and then I register my sister in my own account. You'll be shocked to know that when you're about to pay for that registration, it is your sister's name it is your name that you're going to see on that registration and not your sister's name. Okay, so what happens is that once you open an account with CAC, maybe using your NIN or your phone number, CAC is going to auto generate your information, and it is that information that will be on your certificate. So if I have an account now, I can only open business for myself on that account. If you try to open another business on that account, it's not going to work. If you pay for that business, you have already lost that business because it's your name that will be on the certificate of that business. So if you are not an accredited agent with CAC and you want to register a business, what should you do? Go and open different accounts for each of those individuals. If you have 100 customers, for example, you have to open 100 accounts for them. And I don't think that's a lot. After all, you're going to be charging them and collecting your money. So you want to make sure you do that. And if you want to use an agent portal, I mean an accredited agent portal, but you are not an accredited agent, you can always reach out to me and we can work out something for you. On your screen now, I made a video on how to apply as an accredited agent with the CAC if you are qualified to do so. You can also watch that video for more clarification. So now, apart from those very core mistakes, I call them core mistakes, like I said, because you may not be able to rectify them when you make them. Apart from that, there are some other mistakes that people make. There are serious mistakes, but some of them at least can be rectified. So one of the most common mistakes that people make is when they are trying to state or to describe their nature of business or their business objective. Like I used to say, you want to keep your business objective as simple as possible. When you begin to use some very grand terms, there's a tendency that CAC will misunderstand the kind of business you are trying to do. Let me give you a very popular example. There was somebody that reached out to me. He was trying to solve a query. The kind of business it does is that it does retail gas refilling for people. But while he was doing his CAC registration, he went ahead and described his business as oil and gas. And it used oil and gas category. Now, CAC, as far as they're concerned, this is an oil and gas business. So they told him that he cannot register that business as a business name. It has to be a company because it's in oil and gas. So when I checked it up, I had to tell you that no, you did a wrong thing. You are not in oil and gas business, you are in retail business. So just tell them that you fill gas. That's your retail business. Don't tell them oil and gas. Okay. So that's one of the things you want to also take note of. You want to make sure you use simple terms to describe your business. If you use difficult term, high-tech terms, CAC is going to query you. And then another very big mistake that people make while describing their nature of business is CAC is not interested in you telling them that, using those adjectives like our business is out to help people. We have a goals, we have goals, we have objectives, we have visions, we have missions. This is what we. No, CAC doesn't want to hear all of those things. CAC wants you to use business terms strictly. So, for example, instead of me, let's assume that I do POS business, for example. Instead of me to start telling CAC that, okay, I run financial POS business that help people to, cash their money easily and help them make the process of business transaction easy and fast. CAC doesn't want to hear that. Just tell CAC that you run a POS business. It's as simple as that. And also, you want to make sure that your objective states or suggest that you are into profit-making business. Okay, for example, if I'm into training, for example, I don't just tell CAC that I am training people on how to do this, how to do that. No, just tell them that you are into training services. Okay, that word service already suggests to CAC that it's a business venture. Okay, you want to make sure that you use business term just to show CAC that this is a business. If you look at your description or your business objective and you read it yourself, you should be able to know that, okay, what I've described now just shows that I am into a business. If that description does not specify that you are in a business, CAC will not accept it. So you want to make sure you put that into consideration. And then another very common mistake that people make that people should not be making is that when you are checking up on the CAC, register, you will see in the address section, they tell you that they want you to show them your street, your house number or your house name and then they want you to show them your street name or your road name. Your street or your road must have a house name or a house number, and that is the only number or the name that should be on that column. Then when you go down, you're going to see another column that tells you to mention the street name or the road name. That is the only thing you want to be there. You don't want to start describing a place that does not have a number or a house name or a street name. If you don't have a proper street, you have to just form something for CAC. Because if you don't, CAC is going to tell you that your address is untraceable and they are not going to accept that registration. So you want to put that into consideration. And finally, you want to also do something around your occupation. For example, if you're doing anything business, let's assume, for example, that I am a speaker, for example, I'm a speaker. But while I'm doing my CAC registration, I'm telling CAC that I am into oil and gas business, for example. When I want to fill in my occupation, just put business, because as far as sales is concerned, it is business that you want to do. They don't want to know that you're a writer or you're a speaker or whatever. If you're into business, tell CAC that you are doing business. That is different from maybe when you are registering, let's say, an hospital, for example, you're a medical doctor. In that case, you have to put a medical doctor, right? Because that's is a professional service, okay? But if you're not registering a professional service, if it's a business, tell CAC that you are into business. Don't tell them that you're a teacher, meanwhile you're trying to register a POS business. Okay, so what if, for example, you made a mistake registering other people on your account and that business name is gone? What can you do? All right, the only thing you need to do now is just to substitute that name, okay? Substitute the name with another name that you don't need. And I think I have a video on how to do that. So you have to substitute the name. When you substitute the name, you'll be able to use that name again while you are creating a new account for your customer. After you have registered the business, CAC is going to tell you that they're going to, give you a notification about post-incorporation services. And like I used to say, you don't need to worry yourself about that. A post-incorporation service is just anything you do to your business name or your company or your NGO after you have already finished your registration. So one very common post-incorporation activity is filing annual returns, right? If you want to file an annual return, it's a post-incorporation activity. Or let's say after you have registered your business name, you notice that there's a mistake in your address and you want to edit that address. Of course, that name has already been registered. So we call that a post-incorporation service. So any service or any task that you're doing to your business name or your company after that name has been registered already, we call them post-incorporation service. And it might interest you to know that you may not be able to do it on your own. You will need an accredited agent to be able to do that for you. And like I said, if you are using CAC registration for business and you are not an accredited agent and you are looking for how to offer post-incorporation services, you can always reach out to me and then let's see how we can work something out about that. All right, so what is the difference between a CAC accredited agent and other agents? Now, if you are doing CAC registration for people and you're making money from it, of course, you are a CAC agent. But CAC does not recognize you because they are not the one that accredited you. Okay, so if you want CAC to accredit you as an agent, then we call you the CAC accredited agent. Now, if you are not an accredited agent, you may not have access to the CAC accredited portal because for you to be able to be a CAC accredited agent, you have to apply. And for you to apply, you need to be a lawyer, a chartered accountant, or a chartered secretary. If not, you might have to work with an accredited agent for you to be able to offer post-incorporation services. Okay, so are there any post-incorporation service that a non-accredited agent can offer? The only post-incorporation service that you can offer as a non-accredited agent is what we call business upgrade. So for example, if somebody approached you and the person has a business name, but the person wants to convert that business name to a company, you will be able to do that as a non-accredited agent. But apart from that, I doubt if there is any other post-incorporation service that you can offer if you are not an accredited agent. All right, so this is another very funny one. Yeah, it is actually very possible for CAC to query your business name even after they have allowed you to reserve it. Now, why does this happen? Well, of course, you know that CAC approvals are not automated. It is CAC officials that do them. Okay, so an agent could come, look at your application and decide to approve it, and another agent can be handling the actual registration and see that same name and decide that no, this name cannot be approved. That happens a lot of time. Okay, so if that happens, what do you do? Again, you have to do what we call name substitution, because name substitution is the only way that you will be able to correct that name. So most time, what makes CAC query names, business name, is maybe when that name is not well, placed. So for example, if I have a barbing salon and my name is Circles Digital, for example, so I might just call it Circles Digital. Okay, CAC might want to tell them that this is actually a barbing salon, so you're going to say Circles Digital Barbing Salon. Okay, so some person could come to you and say, my name is let's say Sleek Shade. What is Slick Shade? That sounds just like a guy name. That sounds just like an ordinary name. But when you say Slick Shade Venture, Slick Shade Enterprise, something like that shows CAC that okay, this is like a recognized business name. Most times, those are some of the reasons why CAC query business name. So you hear the word like qualify this name. So when CAC asks you to qualify a name, they're trying to tell you that this sounds just like an ordinary name. Let us know that this is a business. So you might have to add things like enterprise, things like venture, things like salon, things like boutique and stuff like that, just to make CAC understand that okay, this business is actually this particular thing. And then another reason why CAC may approve a name and query it again is that somebody might approve the name for you, and then another person sees that there's another name that sounds almost like this name already existing. The person can decide to query that name for you to either add something before the name or add something after the name or add something between the name just to distinguish that name from the other name that is already existing. Yes, that also happens. All right, so when CC asks you to change your share capital, most times it is because you really don't know the category that your business belongs to. For example, we have broadly now two kinds of business in CAC. We have the big businesses and the small businesses. Now, for the big businesses, I think there are about 70 of them. When you get to the share allotment page on CAC registration, while doing a company registration, you're going to see a list of that 70 business categories. Now, if your business falls within that 70 business category, you cannot choose your own share capital by yourself. CAC has already pre-selected one for you and you must use that. The problem is that many people don't get to know, so they use their own share capital, and when CAC reviews it, they query it and ask you to change it. So what you can do in that case is either to change the nature of your business to something that can accommodate a small company, or you go ahead and change the share capital to what they ask you to change it to. That's how that works. And I already answered the other part of the question. If CAC sees that this business registration cannot be registered as a business name, it has to be registered as a company. I'm sorry, at least for now, there's nothing you can do about that registration. You have to abandon it and start all over again. All right, so this one is like a general one that everybody needs to hear about. What are annual returns? Now, annual returns are little fee that you pay once in a year just to show CAC that you are still interested in using that name, either a company or a business name. Annual returns is not tax. Tax is not annual returns. Okay, so for business names, you need to file an annual return every year for 3,000 naira. You can see it's a small amount. And then for company, you have to file it for 5,000 naira. Again, it's a small amount. Now, either your business is in operation or not, as long as you want that business name to still be active, either you're doing business with it or not, you have to file that annual return. And that's why it's actually a small amount of money. The problem is that if you don't file your annual returns every year, that amount of money will keep accumulating. And it's not just going to accumulate, you're going to be paying 5,000 naira every year for every year that you have defaulted. So, for example, if you're supposed to pay 3,000 naira in 3 years, and you decide not to pay for 3 years, that's going to be 3,000 plus 5,000, that's 8,000 naira times 3 for business name. And if it is a company, 5,000 naira plus 5,000 naira, that's 10,000 naira times 3 for a company. You don't want, I mean, that is not necessary because it gets very difficult where you allow those accumulations to occur before you go ahead to pay. It's not going to work for you. So make sure that every year between January and March, I think thereabout, you want to make sure that you file your annual returns. You can always reach out to me at the beginning of the year, and that's another reason why you have to join that group, because I'm going to post an update for you guys. So make sure you reach out to me and make sure that you file your annual returns before you allow it to accumulate. And one day when you wake up, you notice that you have quite a number of bills to pay. So you want to do that, it's very cheap. Now, I know that there's this argument about, since it tells you that they give you 18 months where you don't have to either pay tax or pay annual returns. Well, I think that's just theoretical, because I've come to understand or to notice that anytime I'm filing annual returns, CAC don't recognize those 18 months. They just ask you to start paying every year. So that's another thing you want to put into consideration while you're trying to file your annual returns. And then for tax, of course, I'm not going to talk much about tax because number one, I'm not a tax official, so I may not be able to talk more. If you join that group I mentioned, maybe one of the things I could be doing is to bring experts in some of these areas of business to come and tell you more about some of these things. So you want to make sure you join that group. But for tax, also know that you have an 18-month free period according to them. And then I think you have to also make I think up to 25 million naira as a business before you can start paying tax. But again, I'm not so deep in tax advice, so I'm not going to be talking so much about that. You can join that group so that we can bring experts to talk to you about tax. And if you want me to also talk more about tax, in fact, I can actually invite an expert to even talk more about that. If you think that is something that you need to know about, also you can let me know in the comment section, and then we'll see how that goes. All right, so these are some of the questions that you guys will want to know. I think this basically covers most of the things that might be giving you problems. But of course, obviously there are more questions, but already I can see that my time on this video is getting already too long. But then maybe if you want me to talk more about some other things, you can always let me know in the comment section, and then I can compile them again and record more videos. But for now, I think this video is just good enough to solve all your problems around question and answers and errors that you want to prevent if you're doing CAC registration, either for yourself or for any other person. Now, before I jump off this video, again, let me remind you that the link to that WhatsApp group is in the video description. If you want to join that group where I can post updates for you, quick updates, things that I may not be able to create videos about, and things that will let your business grow as we approach another year, you can always join that group and I'll be there to do my best to serve you. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It's going to help the algorithm show this video to more business persons that need information like this one. And if you're a first-time visitor on this channel and you want to see more videos like this one, of course you want to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification so that YouTube can notify you when I create new videos. Thank you guys. I'll see you